Hi. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So, I apologize that I am late, and it is actually kind of funny because I have been literally sitting just at my computer doing nothing much since 11-ish. And then I finally was like, oh, okay, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna get something done. And I got distracted. Afternoon from Oklahoma. Hello. So for those of you who don't know, I have ADHD, and that is like classic ADHD. So it is very funny, but I apologize. So today we are going to do some turkey work. We're not going to dawdle because I've already made us start late. So we're going to do the turkey work that's around the edge here. I do have a hard finish today. So we've only got about half an hour to do stuff, but that's okay, because that's half an hour that we otherwise wouldn't have. I'm just going to get my pattern to make sure that I'm telling you the right things. Yeah, cool. Okay, so for the excuse me, for the border here, we're going to use our yellow and we're going to use our light red. Again, I have this. I mean, I've got my, I have the bobbinated one, but I'm just going to keep using this, which is not a problem. So we're going to grab. We're going to use 6 strands total, but we are grabbing 3 of each color and combining them together, because we want it to look like all mixed up. Where's my finished piece? There it is. So we want it to be all combined, for a lack of a better term. So it doesn't really matter how long you cut your floss. Obviously, the longer you cut, the more you can do for a longer period of time. I am using a little like 6-strand cut that I already have of this yellow, and I'm just gonna get some red of the same size, or same length, I should say. Okay, so we have our yellow, and we just got to get some red. Oops, trying to pull out 2 at once. Never do that, you'll just get yourself tangled. There we go. And just bunching them all up together. Oops. So we got our little mixed strands. I'm gonna get my chunkier needle, but it doesn't really matter, as long as you can thread the needle with all 6 strands. It doesn't matter what size needle you've got. Now we are not tying a knot in the end of our floss. Why, Kate? Because the turkey work is going to utilize the end of the floss. So I repeat, do not tie a knot in the end of your floss. We are also going to be starting on the front of our work. We're going to pierce, not the very edge here. We're going to come in like there-ish. We're going to pull, and we're going to create our little tail, our little starting tail. So that's like a bit less than an inch, I think. A thumb width, there you go. Then we are going to come up close to, but not in the same spot as where we just went in. We're going to hold our floss here, otherwise we're just going to pull it through. You can make this shorter if you want to. I don't mind keeping it kind of long. I'd rather that because you can always cut more off. You can't easily add more back on. I'm now going to come in as close to, but not in the same spot that we've just come up at, on the other side of it. And then so that we get this like little overlap bit, don't pull it all the way through. So before you do, we're going to come back up where we started. And pull that tight. And that is how this stitch doesn't come undone. Basically, this is pretty much a little knot in a way, and it's going to hold our work in place. We're now going to come down for the start of our next turkey work stitch. So where you want the middle to be. And if you want to keep them the same length, you just pull it gently until they're the same length. Doesn't matter if it's twisted, we're going to be cutting them. And then again, you're going to come up very close to, but not in the same spot, gently, or else you'll pull it like I just did. And then we're going to poke in on top of the previous little like anchor point. Don't pull all the way through because we're going to move it out of our way. It's a bit twisted. Move it out of our way and come up where we started. Remember to just keep this tight so that you don't accidentally pull it through. But at this point, it'd be a bit difficult to pull it through. So if you tug on this, it's not going to move anywhere. It is stuck. And so that's one little tassel. From here, you can continue. You don't need to cut it off if you don't want to. So I can just go straight into the next point of the first, the first stitch of the next tassel, and you just have like a little loop like that. If that's a bit too complicated, like if that confuses you, you can cut it. That's not a problem. Oops. And we're going to go next to it, pull gently, come up where we went in before, like at the start of it, and pull it tight. And then we're going to go in for the middle of the next one. You want to keep them pretty close together so that they look like they're supposed to be the same tassel, I guess. Don't forget to keep pressure on the little loop itself. Otherwise you'll pull it through, which is not the end of the world. It's easy to fix. It's just annoying. And that's the second one. Don't pull it all the way through, come up where we started, and now you can pull. That slipped from my hand. See, it's not impossible to fix, it's just annoying. You want to make sure that you're pulling it tight upwards so that you're not pulling the like little anchor loop out of the way, because otherwise that won't be tight enough. This will use up quite a lot of thread, this stitch, so just be aware of that. It's obviously not the end of the world, but you do want to have more to trim off than you need for the finished result. Because, like I said, you can always cut more off. You can't easily add it back. It's not impossible. You can cut out what you've done and then redo it. And then we go in so that they overlap. Oh, that does not want to come through. Okay. I did go in a different spot. Maybe? There we go. And then come up where we started that loop. Pull up. And that is one side. Just for obviousness, to finish your turkey work stitch, you just cut it where you want it. So before we do this other side, I will show you the other half of the turkey work stitch, which is using your scissors. So you want to have some sharp scissors that you don't use for like cutting paper or anything like that, because you want to have your ends of your floss nice and crisp. And basically you just pick up the little loops. Make sure you don't pick up the stitches from your other areas of work, and you just cut it away. So once I do this side, I will take my hoop out of my table stand and hold it. That way I can actually trim it properly. But that is like the crux of it. It's scary, but trust me, it's all secure. It's not going anywhere. But we will be trimming it so that it's nice and short looking like that. All right, let's do the other side. Hi, I used to, but I don't speak German anymore. I learned it when I was a kid and I don't remember anything, so I apologize. But I know that you're speaking German. That's about all I can say. So I'm just, one of my strands of floss was trying to come out, so I'm just fixing that. So again, to reiterate, we are not tying a knot in the end of our floss, and we are starting from the front. So we're going to pull gently until we've got the length that we want. This is tricky at this angle. We're going to come up very close to where we've just gone in, but not in the same spot. Try not to poke your finger like I just did. Don't pull too tight. Then we're going to go in on the other side. Again, really close to, but not in the same spot as we've gone in before. We're then going to come up where we started the stitch. and then pull it through tight. One of my red strands is being difficult. There we go. Had to be one of the three. Alright, we'll do the other one. So we're going to go in close to it again. Leave our little length. Come up next to it. Gently. Overlap. Oops. Overlap the previous little knot bit. Come up where we went in before. And then pull it tight. It's a very cool stitch in my opinion. I forgot to close my door, so you can probably hear my husband making some lunch. I might just quickly close the door. Alright, let's keep going. We're going to get this rug done and then we're going to call it for the day. Because that way we've got the scarf and the beanie for tomorrow. And then we'll be all done. It'll be awesome. Yeah. Oh, I pulled it through. So I've pulled it through before I came back up. That's okay. I just need to finagle my needle so that it still has the little tiny loop over the top. That's not a big problem. If you cover it up, I think it just makes it look a little bit nicer for this pattern in particular. When it comes to the beanie pom-pom, we will not care about how it's how that little loop is sitting. Alright, so this is going to be the last with this cut of floss. Come on. Anyone else find the pop through? Yeah. Yes. It's only happening because I don't have the right size needle, I'll be honest. So I've only got this much thread left, but that's okay because what I'm going to do is just go snip, and that's the end of that cut of thread. I've got some more here. So there's my red and then there's my yellow. So again, in case you missed the start, we're doing 3 of each color so that we have 6 strands total. If you want to be like super pedantic, I do recommend splitting up the flosses so that your colors are mixed a little bit. So I continuously am dropping one of the red strands, but I'm shifting one of each of my colors so that I've got a little bit of a better mix. Otherwise you'll notice that it'll just look a little bit too stripy. So that, I mean, it's not perfect, but it is mixed a little bit more. Plus, I did a reel about this the other day. Pulling out all of your strands and then putting them back together can actually make your, well, it's mostly for cross stitch, but it can make your floss sit better. But anyway, all right, I've threaded my needle, and a reminder, we are not tying a knot in the end of our floss, and we are starting from the front of our work. So we're going to go in, pick our length, and again, we're going to trim it anyway, so if it's not exactly the same as before, that's fine, as long as you've got enough to trim. I do recommend that you trim it once we're done, and that you don't try and make it the right length from the get-go, because you will not have a good time if you do that. For me and my, oh, I need to be frugal with my floss, for some reason this stitch, I am more than okay with wasting floss. So we're going to remember we're pulling away from we're pulling away from the rug piece because we want these little loops to show up. When I say the loops, I mean like the little anchor points, not these loops that we're going to cut. If we try and do it so that they were to sit underneath, all of your floss would sit like this. Like it would want to sit flat that way, not flat that way. And I mean, if that's the kind of look you're going for, sure. But it's not what I'm going for. So I will not be doing that. Pop. Now one of my yellow strands has gone rogue. There we go. I got it first try that time. And it's okay that something like this is happening where it's twisted, because we are going to trim that and it's going to untwist itself once we've cut it. And you will find that you'll need 2 hands for this stitch. You might not need a lap stand or a table stand or anything like that, but you might find that hopefully you're sitting down while you're working, but that you'll be using your lap a lot. So with the pattern, I've lined up all these little tassels to match the grid. There is one little one down here that doesn't match up with the grid. So I'm aware of that, but it just kind of looked naked without it there. So just in case anyone's like, excuse me, this doesn't match. I've never had anyone tell me that my work is wrong, but you know, the internet is the internet. It's not the greatest of places. But I feel like the little community that I've got here on Instagram and on YouTube and even on like Facebook and Twitter. Twitter is quiet, but that's okay. Everyone has been super awesome. Even with some hard news and life updates that I've shared where people could be judgy assholes, basically. I know my hand's in the way, I'm sorry. I need transparent hands. I'm working on it. I'm very pale, so I'm trying. But there we go. Okay, we can cut that. Remember, we're not cutting it down here. We're cutting it to the same length as everything else. Now I'm going to just take this out of my desk stand and move that. My desk is a little bit messy, so I apologize. Got boxes and documents. There we go. Okay, so readjusting cameras. So I'm going to cut the rest of these little loops. Remember, make sure that you are aware of the other stitches that you've done. You don't want to cut work that you've worked hard on. But it is, to be able to pick up the thread, the loops, you can just basically like run your scissors through it, and when you catch something, you know you got to cut it. And I think that's, oh, there's another one. That's all of them, I think. Oh, there's another one. Okay, so as you can see, some of them are a little bit shorter, like there's a short one there, and in here there's a short one. But that's okay, because we don't want it to be this long. We want it to be this long. What you want to do is use two hands. So this is probably a good time to sit at a table to do this. But you want to pick up each section, bunch it together. I'm not a hairdresser, so like I'm sure if you were a hairstylist or something, then you'd have a better time. Get that one out of the way. Come on, pick. So group them all together and then pick your length and just cut. Just do it, just be brave, you can do it. I believe in you. I just grabbed my ore jar because I've got to save all my little bits. So group them all up. I like to use the scissors to help me group them. And then just cut it. And just remember, as long as you've pulled all of your loops tight for the stitch itself, then they're not going to come undone. Come on. So you can skip the step of cutting all your loops if you want to. I don't know, I like that part. So I like doing it. And so what I'm doing is kind of lining up the previous trim that I've done to get them all the same length. But keep in mind, if you're nervous about doing this, that's normal, like that's really normal. But you're also making something that is handmade. So if they're not all exactly a centimeter long or whatever your length is, that's okay. I promise you it's okay. It's not going to be the end of the world. See, like I've just missed one there. So I can just go, oh, did I miss it? Oh, I missed half of it. So I can just trim that. And then we'll do our last one. And we've got some little straggly fluffy bits. But isn't that cute? If you don't like how long you've made it, once you're done, just go back and add, cut some more off. That's all good. I do recommend, where's mine? Over here. I do recommend that you get something like a lint roller and you just roll it away, like in the direction that all of the little tassels are going, so that you pick up like all these little fluffy bits. But you can do that once you're done everything. I will show that again tomorrow. I just wanted to show it today. But that's our little rug done. Isn't it adorable? I love patching the turkey work. It is like the best ever. We will be doing the scarf, so the two ends of the scarf and the beanie tomorrow. The beanie will be a little bit different, but not difficult. You will want to get something like an old toothbrush. If you don't get an old one, if you want to go out and buy one, I suggest you get one that is labeled hard. So you'd probably have a good time finding a toothbrush that's a hard one, because those ones are actually really bad for your teeth. But yeah, that one is just for this, and it's not a big deal if you don't get that. I'll be showing you a tool that I use to get it looking like this. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. You can pat your work like I do. But otherwise, I will see everyone tomorrow for the last day. The other thing we're going to do actually tomorrow is we're going to sign it, because I think that's a really important thing to do. Look, it's from last year. It's 2021. I think signing your work is super important for stitches, because it's amazing to look at your work and be reminded of, oh my gosh, I did that so long ago. But anyway, thank you very much, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.